What is up, YouTube's Mountain Man Magic, and we have a Draft Chaff deck tech video. Now this deck is going to use Draft Chaff from only Dominaria and M19. There's definitely cards that are standard legal that would make this deck better, but this is just something I threw together using the cards I had left over from the drafts we've done thus far. Now, Psychic Corrosion is a card that I've enjoyed. I haven't made the mill deck in a draft for an M19, but I wanted to try and just throw it together and see if the just for fun cues would work in there. So let's go through what we got. Start off with 4 ops because I just like the card a lot. Anything that draws this card is going to synergize really well with Psychic Corrosion, including opt. So I just like opt. It's an awesome turn 1 play to make sure you're going to hit your land drops or get to a card that you need. 2 drops, we got Blink of an Eye, which again is great to just bounce something, and if we have the mana, draw a card. Essence Scatters, because creatures are going to be our biggest issue. If we have an opponent that's curving out and going wide against us, that's definitely going to be the worst case scenario for us. So we need to be able to counter as many as we can, as often as we can. Got some Surge Mares because in case you don't have counter spells, it's nice to have these guys because they're pretty big walls. They're pretty difficult to deal with, especially against decks like Mono Red or Red White, where they don't get necessarily up to the 5 power without having to 2-for-1 themselves, something like that. And they're good too because they let us loot a card, which definitely can help if we get flooded or something like that. Divination's nice, draws us cards, and synergizes well with Psychic Corrosion. Arcane Encyclopedia gives us something to use extra mana with. And Hammered Explorer I threw in here because we needed more creatures. It's impossible to even have a chance against a deck that goes wide if all we have are Surge Mares and Essence Scatters and Syncopates. So I threw these guys in here. The 3/3 is pretty nice because it can block fairly decently. It can attack if you really need it to. And it mills for 4. So hey, we'll take it. Bone to Ash, again, just a counterspell that draws us a card. Nice synergies. And then Patient Rebuilding. You definitely don't want multiple of these in your hand, because the 5-drop and taking turn 5 off is pretty rough. But if you even get one of these down, then you're really comfortable because it synergizes so well with Psychic Corrosion. And then last but not least, we got some Syncopates because they're good for any graveyard recursion. It just gets rid of other spells that we don't want to deal with that aren't creatures. So all around, it's a deck that if you have some ideal draws, it works out fairly decently. And if you're up against someone who just curves out well and you've got maybe couple counter spells or your more expensive cards, you probably just get run over. But let's get into some gameplay, see how it worked out. Honestly, I just had fun building it, seeing how it worked out, and those occasional games that you do win feel way more rewarding than just playing a normal blue control deck where it's, I'm just going to counter everything and you don't get to do anything. This one, it kind of feels like a race. Like it's who's going to win the race, not so much waiting for me to just let you play Magic. So here we go. Let's check out some gameplay. Game 1, we have a pretty good starting hand. We've got a turn 1 opt, which is a personal favorite of mine, and we just wait and see what they do. Alright, against black, maybe it's zombies, maybe... Oh, okay, turn 1, divest. They're going to be sorely disappointed, and we wait. And I can probably... Yeah, that's rage, and just salt piling up as we speak. But we don't know what their deck's, ultimate objective is. So let's just see. It's pretty unfortunate to whiff on a turn 1 divest. But you win some, you lose some. That was definitely a loss. A win for us. Who am I kidding? Opt. Yeah, see, we'll take that island. Smooth out the land draws. All is well. Turn 2, play a land and pass. And just wait. Wait to counter something. If there are, okay, so they're black-blue. This will be interesting, because they could be a control deck as well. But if they're trying to be creature-focused, and then you see that we have 4 counter spells in our hand, that's not exactly the most fun situation to be in. So I think we could play the Arcanist here. This must have been from a game a little bit earlier, before I'd taken them out, because they felt clunky too. But yeah, we're just waiting. We'll keep up the 2 mana for an Essence Scatter, see what happens. And they don't want to play anything, which is fine. It's unfortunate we're not drawing any of our mill cards, but that's going to happen. Alright, another counter spell. Now it's okay, let's just throw the Arcanist out, because we still have 2 up for an Essence Scatter. Makes me feel alright about it. And we wait. And we wait. Maybe it's because it's foil. Right now we are in full control of this game. Oh, okay. Waiting. What are you gonna do? What's gonna happen? Interesting. No combat. No play. Oh, okay, they're just gonna pass again. Fine. Land. Yeah, we're alright. Draw land. Syncopate's now a good option, as well as essence scattering something. Can't sacrifice that yet. Okay. We could attack for one, but why? I don't think that's the 20 turn clock. We're so anxious to get going. Oh, okay. And then they just concede because that is the salt that only a mono blue deck can inflict on someone. Alright, well, hey, 1-0. Starting off 1-0, we'll take it. Jumping into match 2. Now we can see another decent starting hand, but we got to make sure that we get that third land. That's going to be pretty crucial for us, but with an opt, I usually feel pretty confident keeping 2 landers. Got our ideal turn 1 play again. So we pass, come back, and I decide to keep the counterspell because seeing green, we're going to need early counterspells. This is nice for us. There's no way we can go multiple turns again without getting our third land. We pass. They pass turn 3, which makes me feel okay. We missed the land drop, though, which makes me a little sad. But overall, we're doing all right. Unfortunately, because I'm trying to keep up a counterspell, we have to discard, so I ditch the tome, and then we wait. Now I can see that they're playing dinos with this guy coming out, and I figure it's better to syncopate it because dinos has a lot of good 3 and 4 drops, and they're probably going to go to 5 land next turn, so syncopate's probably going to be harder to play, and then I can keep up the essence scatters. Then we draw our third land, but it's not the land we want, so I play out the Surge Mare, which is a good blocker against enraged creatures, and now we can finally get down our Psychic Corrosion. I could have just left up the counterspell, but I figured this keeps us from being completely vulnerable come this turn that we play Psychic Corrosion, and we can block fine, unless they do something like this, which pings creatures, gets them their card advantage, gets rid of our creature. That's all bad. So now we're in a pretty rough spot. I played a second Surge Mare. They're starting to develop a board, and them going anything close to wide is all bad for us. But I figure Ranging Raptor's not a big deal, and then I realize how epically good the final Eruption is in the dinosaur deck. Because it triggers Enrage on all of their dinosaurs. It's super nice, and then I see them just throwing cards, throwing damage at their raptor, drawing massive amounts of cards, and at this point we're pretty much done for, so I just scoop. Game 2, hoping for a little bit better scenario. We have a nice starting hand, 3 land, a Psychic Corrosion, 2 Essence Scatters, and a Divination. It's pretty ideal. They start off with an Aether Hub, not bad, but so far I'm feeling pretty good. Turn 2, they pass, we pass, nothing happens. Turn 3, we get out in Psychic Corrosion. Everything's looking good, feeling good. Turn 3, they pass again, which I'm pretty happy about. Turn 4, we can play we can play our 4th land and then just wait. We can counter something, we can bounce it. Turn 5 comes. I decide to just draw some cards, thinking there's no way we could miss our 5th land drop. We do. It doesn't matter. They scoop. They must have been mana screwed that game. That's all right. On to game 3. Can we keep our perfect record alive? Play it. Awesome turn 1. We do not want a second opt. We need to find more action. Turn 2, play out Surge Mare. Especially since they don't have a board yet. We feel pretty good about getting that nice wall down. Okay, Ranging Raptors, they're able to ramp if they have any shenanigans going on, but I figure we'll play the tome out here. It's as good a time as any. And then they play that guy, Shake the Foundations or whatever it is, where 1 damage to each creature helps them ramp a bit, but they don't do anything else, which is, I mean, that's pretty fine. I'm totally fine with that. We just keep playing our land drops, waiting for them to play something that's a bit more concerning for counter, but they don't do anything, so we get a free card. Not bad. We pass and just wait. We got 5 land, got uses for it. They play the Final Eruption again. Great card, but all it does here is help them ramp, which, again, we're not too concerned with, hoping that it's nothing too big. We get another free card out of it. Hey, counterspell. Glad to see that. We're flooding a little bit, but that's not too bad, and the tome's definitely helping us get through this pocket of land that we're stuck in. They now have as much mana as anyone could ever hope to have, and they play this monster card, which, sorry, Gesheth, or basically I'll just say big dinosaur that wants to eat me. We have to counter you, so I'm feeling okay. Things are still good. We just need to find some mill. I'm thinking, hey, if we play or, you know, play an island here. Is it going to really help syncopate? Nah, so let's get down the card that'll help us draw more cards if we need it. Final Eruption takes out their own creature, helps them ramp some more, but overall, we're hanging on. We're just waiting to find our mill. We're hoping that our counters don't run out. We counter their card draw, which is really nice. We draw a card, we draw an opt, we use it to get the Homerid Explorer. Hey, we have some mill finally. Let's slam it down, mill them for 4, and actually we've got enough mana, so let's pump our Surge Mare, attack for 2, and just rummage one of these lands out of our hand. Keeps us up for blink of an eye if we really need to bounce something. It's unfortunate we don't have enough for Bone to Ash or to really syncopate something. But I look at this guy, okay, it's not when it attacks, it's when it deals damage. So they can attack with it, we bounce it, they kind of lose their turn. We play the Foily land so that they know we're serious and we definitely mean business. Play the second Homerid, say, what? Mill him for another 4, so that's 8 cards. You know, it's something. And now we're attacking. That's totally what this deck is meant to do, is be on the offensive with a 3/3 at turn 9. Awesome. And they go and play it. Now we can Bone to Ash it, draw a card. We get Patient Rebuilding. Finally some mill. Feeling good. They've still got a couple cards, though, so we're not completely out of the woods yet. Only having a Blink of an Eye and a Syncopate doesn't give me warm and fuzzy feelings, but we'll see what happens here. Whoo! They play Zakama. Thankfully, we have just enough to syncopate it, and at this point, I can kind of feel, if I was in their shoes, yeah. At that point, our deck's doing what it needs to do. Life's good. So, hey, we're 2-0. Let's check out match 3. We have a pretty good starting hand. We'll take the 2-lander because we have an opt. We've got 2 Psychic Corrosions, which I'm pretty happy to see. And we got a tome, we got a counterspell. This can work. Unfortunately, we're up against apparently mono red. They've already got a 1-drop. That's just not ideal for us, but hey, we get a Surge Mare off the opt. That's a good card for us because now we have a blocker for this, assuming turn 2 doesn't involve them going wider, which in this case it doesn't. They play an axe, which is not a big deal because our big horsey fish can jump in front of a 3/1 no problem. And then we wait and we hope that turn 3 looks a lot like turn 2, and we just wait, and they think they're going to play a spell, and they don't play a spell, and then they play a second axe. Okay, so that's all good for us. Nothing that we should really be too worried about. Granted, if they want to throw both axes on it, we probably just take the 5 and then look to bounce it, because we want to play out Psychic Corrosion. This is our win condition. We'll take a little bit of damage. Again, life is definitely a resource with this deck, so let's just wait. I'm going to guess they miss another land drop, which is not good, and then they pass. Okay, yeah, so nothing happens. Pretty unexciting for them. Turn 4, we play our tap land. We play our second Psychic Corrosion, feeling good about that. And then we just wait and see what they do. Again, if they attack for 5, we'll just take the 5, and then come their next turn, we can keep up Bone to Ash for a counterspell or Blink of an Eye. Or we could even play the Tome and then keep up Blink of an Eye, but without the kicker. Just kind of wait and see what happens. They play another creature that's going to get them a bit wider of a board state, but now that we have 2 Psychic Corrosions and we just drew our 3rd, we actually have a race on our hands, depending on what else happens here. So now I wait. There's no way they could possibly miss another land drop, but somehow they do. I'm not exactly heartbroken about it, but I'm enjoying this game so far. This feels like the ideal scenario. Although I wish our opponent did have some more lands so they could do a little bit more, but the fact that we have 3 Psychic Corrosions out right now and a couple ways to draw cards in our hand, I think is pretty fun. So what we do here is we block, because the only way they're blocking there is they're either looking to trade or they have a trick like that, and I'm happy to bounce the creature. They lose their trick, they essentially lose their turn as well, and we take, what, 1-2 damage. Really not a big deal. Now we're making them discard 6, and we just drew our 4th Psychic Corrosion. So I was thinking about playing the Tome, but the fact that we just drew our 4th one, how do you not play your 4th Psychic Corrosion? I mean, it's perfect. And they have, what, like, so basically if next turn comes, we are making them discard half of their remaining deck. 8 from the initial draw of our turn, and then 8 from when we play our Tome and draw 3. We just need to draw that land. That's all we need, and we're going to be pretty happy. Because now we basically have them on a 2-turn clock, and there's no way they're getting through for 17 damage in the next 2 turns on 2 lands. So this was a pretty dumb way to win, but you know, we've gotten pretty lucky in these games to be playing opponents that don't have a decent curve out or go wide consistently. So overall, though, happy with how this first game went. Let's see how the second game goes. Game 2, we start off with a fairly decent hand, but I accidentally hit the mulligan button because I'm that good, and then I keep a one-lander, so clearly giving myself the best opportunity to win here. But our opponent's also having a really nice curve out. One drop into a two drop like this, hitting for 3. That's not cool. That's not nice. But if we get another land here, we can throw Surge Mare down. We've got at least one blocker. We're going to be taking damage every turn, but we have 2 Psychic Corrosions in our hand again. Maybe we can get the mill thing going. We really got to hit that third land. That's going to be rough. And the tome's going to be pretty clunky here. 3 lands. So they've already got 50% more lands this game than they did all of last game. Ooh, and Luminous Bonds. Yeah, that's not a great card for us because now we can't even block. We're taking pretty heavy hit down to 14 on turn 3, and now we just cross our fingers and hope we get a land. We get a land, but it's not ideal. So now we can look to maybe blink of an eye our own Surge Mare just to get rid of the Luminous Bonds. There's not really a point in bouncing one of their creatures. There's no point in bouncing the bonds because then they just put it back into their hand or back onto our creature. So end step, sure, let's just bounce the Surge Mare. Hope we hit a 4th land. We don't. We hit a 2nd Surge Mare. And now we're just waiting. They've got 5 land, so whatever they want to do, they're able to, and then they throw down Angel of the Dawn, and that's, yeah, we scoop. We have no way to deal with that flyer, and we're already behind on mana. So, good job to them on that game. Here goes game 3, seeing if we can pull out the overall match win. Start off with an Opt, my favorite turn 1 play that we do main phase, because that's what good players do. And we get not a land. So, turn 1, another Goblin Motivator. They're really motivated to keep playing their Goblin Motivators. Now, this isn't bad if we keep drawing lands. We've got 3 counter spells and a bounce and a creature that ends up being a good blocker if it gets on the board. Taking 1 isn't a huge deal. We can definitely deal with that later on. Get the 3rd land. Feeling okay. And now we're just waiting. All right, our opponent's hitting their land drops. Yeah, that's worth countering. Even though it's only 1 damage, it does give other stuff flying, so then we can't block it with our Explorer. And right now I'm like, all right, sure, let's throw down Explorer. It's a good blocker. We get to mill a little bit, which just feels good. And we now wait to see what turn 4 holds for us. I'm hoping they don't throw something down like a Gallant Cavalry, because that's going to be all bad. And it's not quite as bad as a Gallant Cavalry, but pretty much just as bad. It's a 3/2 that gives them another token, so now they're going wide. That gives them plenty of options to do more combat tricks, get a lot of damage, sneak in a lot of damage. I think about blocking, but if we end up drawing another creature here, I'd rather wait and just see what this 5th turn gives us, because we can always bounce stuff if we need it. Now we draw a 5th land, so I get out the Patient Rebuilding in hopes that if we can survive a couple more turns, maybe we find a way to stabilize this board and start getting either card advantage that'll get us to a cleaned up board, or can just really help us start milling out our opponent. But right now I'm feeling like even 3 creatures, even if 2 of them are 1/1s, we're in a pretty rough spot. And then they play another 1 and get 2 more creatures on the board. So now we're in a really bad spot. And at this point, it's tough to win because we don't have a big board bounce type of spell like we could get out of the Ixalan block. There's definitely better cards that we could put in this deck that would help for this exact scenario, but we just take it because even if we block, then there's no possible way we win. We end up drawing a land, and at this point, the writing's on the wall. The mill strategy, just believe it or not, is not a top tier deck, especially when you limit yourself to just Draft Chaff from Dominaria and M19. But this is exactly, that's exactly what their deck's trying to do, and it's pretty nice to see them get a nice curve out here after how rough their first game was. And overall, honestly, the deck was pretty fun. We're going to bounce this card here just to go down swinging, but the writing's on the wall at this point. they've got a nice board state, and we're really going to have a hard time dealing with multiple creatures, especially when we know they have combat tricks, and I can only assume that they have some damage spells. So yeah, there's a shock. And I think we end up just getting shocked to death, which happens, but overall, it was a fun match, fun game, fun deck to play, and yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. There's our Draft Chaff mill deck. I think we ended up winning more than I was expecting, probably due to our opponent's land issues or their spells just lining up well to the answers we had. Overall, it was a fun deck to build. I'll probably play it here and there as a just for fun type of deck, but hope you enjoyed the video. If you're enjoying the content, please do hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.